Welcome to Lifestyle Solopreneur, the community for entrepreneurs who put lifestyle first. Join your host Flavia Barris as she interviews successful lifestyle solopreneurs and shares ideas to help you find the perfect balance between lifestyle, business, and self. Flavia is an attorney, marketing expert, and founder of several online academies. She's been featured in major media, including BBC World News, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Post, ESPN Television, and more. Join us for this episode of Lifestyle Solopreneur. Hey solopreneurs, today we have the absolute pleasure of speaking with Olesija Saue. She is a personal branding strategist and executive coach. Olesija is also a social media strategist and a partner at Goals Social Media Marketing. She's a serial entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience in sales and marketing, and she's the former CEO of Forbes Estonia, where she helped to bring the world's most trusted business media brand to the business audience in the Baltics. Oh, I just love it when we have international guests. Can't wait to chat with her about that. Today, she helps corporate clients as well as aspiring startups, maybe you're a startup, and small to medium-sized businesses to stand out from the competition and achieve their business goals through the use of social media and personal branding. She's also helping with in-house brand ambassador programs, as well as strategic use of personal branding in the corporate communication space. She is the co-author of a book on personal branding called The Brand Named You. And there's a website for that book as well if you want to check it out at thebrandnamedyou.com. She has an MBA. She's AOEC accredited. She is just all over the place internationally. And we are so lucky to have her here on our podcast today. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Flavia, and hello to all listeners. I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, it's great to have you. So tell us a little bit sort of about your journey. Where are you located right now, and how did you get from not being an entrepreneur to where you are today, which is really very exciting because you not only get to help small businesses, but also some pretty big brands.
I'm based in Estonia, in Tallinn. This was a very small country with just 1.3 million people, former Soviet Union, close to Russia. It's pretty cold out there right now. But coming back to my story, I've had kind of a roller coaster career starting from the very beginning. When I was still in the university, I went to a steel galvanizing plant to be a human resources manager, made a very quick career there, ended up as a general manager of the steel plant, moved forward to start my own steel trading company, which was serving customers across Scandinavia, Baltics, and also Eastern Europe. Unfortunately, during the last crisis, it didn't work out, so I had to close it. And that was pretty much the time when I had to rediscover myself. As entrepreneurs and people who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs, there's also this question: would I succeed? Would I fail? At the point where you've been at the top and you go down to below zero, you actually start to reinvent yourself and really look at the things, what you still have. So making sort of assessments. And at that point, I understood that we all have our unique, I call it now personal brand DNA, our strengths, our unique values, our why, which we can always use to our advantage. And at that point, I started to work with people from my own network, utilizing all of my different contacts and then strengths and experiences. And I started my consulting business, joined Forbes later on, also started my coaching practice. So it's kind of going in circles from starting and going down and then reinventing myself and actually learning and getting a lot of strength out of this experience.
That's amazing. And you focus on, when you talk about branding, the name of your book is The Brand Named You. So it's really very much like a personal branding, not necessarily just the kind of work that somebody would do for a company like Nike, like, oh, let's brand you, you're a company an aesthetic, fitness, like blah, blah, blah. You're really looking at individuals, like human beings, people, right? And when you're coaching on personal branding.
Yes, that's right. And I really believe that people don't buy anything from companies or brands. People have always bought from people whom they like, whom they know, whom they trust. And if we think about how branding actually came to existing, we have different brand archetypes that Carl Jung has introduced. And when some brand is created, we're actually looking at different types of archetypes that would speak to certain type of people. Well, we as people already have this, our brand archetype inside of us. When we share our strengths and our values, other people can relate to us. So I always say that I'm working with two sides of the coin. When I'm working with corporations, I'm really trying to humanize the brand. So bringing people from behind the corporate brand and showing who are the real people, what is their story, so people could connect with. So from the personal branding perspective, and it is very important that we learn how to package us as humans, especially now when we have two brands. We have a physical personal brand, and we also have a digital personal brand. And in order for them to work together and to support and amplify each other, we really have to understand our personal brand DNA. What is it that makes us stand apart from the competition? What is our unique sales advantage? And then what is our story?
And what do you find are the most, a couple of the most common mistakes that solopreneurs make in their personal branding?
I think that the biggest mistake that I see very often starting entrepreneurs and solopreneurs are doing, they're trying to build this facade brand with logo and websites, and they're trying to show that they are bigger than they are. But the paradox is that the fact that they are the face of their brand gives them tremendous advantages, because people can see who is that person, they hear the story, and they can immediately either relate to this person or understand that he's not for me. And this is perfectly fine. So I would always suggest that you understand yourself, then you understand your customer, and then you build a bridge, which is marketing strategy, to bring those two things together.
And then for everybody listening who already has a brand that they are trying to build, they're already an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, what's one quick thing that we can all focus on this week to improve our personal brand? Just like one thing that we should all be doing just to help kind of climb that ladder of building out that brand and getting more recognition and really building a reputation.
The way that personal branding works and the way that it is working in digital space is that we first have to build visibility. So people have to be aware that we exist. Then we have also to build credibility. And this comes from what we are saying and also from testimonials and third-party references. And then comes the profitability. So I would say that the first step that any entrepreneur, irrespective of where are they right now, could do is look at those 3 stages and think what I can do to increase visibility, what can I do to increase credibility, and how I can increase profitability. But really looking at it through these 3 stages that our customers, potential customers, have to pass in order for this relationship to take place.
And where do you think that a lot of entrepreneurs get stalled? Like, where do they get stuck the most? Because I know in the coaching you do, you help people who are just starting out. You help people who have made mistakes and are trying to fix their branding. You help people that are very far along and, companies that have established branding and they're trying to maybe pivot or do something greater to really just even go beyond where they are. where do you find that both people, companies, they just get stuck? Is there something that's kind of common across the board, or is it just really unique and case by case?
The perception of personal branding is actually quite different in different countries. For example, in Europe, in Estonia, it's a very common case. In different countries in Europe, it also can be the case that people don't like to talk about themselves. They don't like to sell themselves. And so personal branding is often perceived as kind of bragging, and this misconception of personal branding that it's just about the packaging, about what you present to the world, and it might not really be who you are, I think is the biggest challenge because in order for personal branding to work, there really has to be a very solid foundation. People have to understand their strengths. People have to really not only know, but also own their story, both of successes and different lessons from their past. Because this is this unique combination of both good things and bad things is what makes us unique, what makes our story unique. And I know this actually from my personal experience, because for me it was quite hard to embrace the full story. So it's always easy to talk about your successes, but it's much harder to say that you had some failures and you had very tough life lessons. But the funny thing is that we try to please other people, and we think that if we just show us in a very nice and presentable way, people would love us. But in fact, people are looking for this authentic voice, which comes from really owning who we are. And I think that the majority of the entrepreneurs are trying to be not really who they are, but whom they think their audience would love them to be.
And for your own branding, your own personal brand, your story, what is your story that you have shared publicly that has helped you establish yourself in your personal brand?
I have shared different parts of my story. The story that I just shared with you really helps me to connect with my coaching customers and clients, because I see two sides of the picture. I know how to get to the success, but I also know how to deal with I don't want to say failure, but how to make the most of the lessons that you get. And I think that it's pretty unique combination if you really own this. And I love this saying a lot, that the best wisdom comes from the wounds that have already scars on that.
The best wisdom indeed. Indeed, right? And so for a lot of us who are still and it's always a process, right? We're not just still in the process of developing a brand. Even once you've developed a brand, it's constantly going to evolve over time. So this is a forever journey. I don't think anyone ever finishes developing a brand and then just says, we're done. Let's just keep it as is forever. I mean, I even see huge brands rebranding what they do, not just changing their logo, but really truly rebranding who they are as a company. You see that constantly. So I do think that it's something that an entrepreneur needs to constantly evolve with and think about. And for those reasons, you probably revisit clients. It's not just like, okay, great, we've worked on your brand, you're done. I'm sure that there's a lot of follow-up and evolution over time. Do you find that's correct?
Well, let's start with the fact that each and every one of us already has a personal brand. So the moment we start to be active in business, or even before that, when we go to school or university, everything that we are doing starts to create our personal brand. In 2012, Jeff Bezos said it very well, and it is one of the most well-known quotes describing personal branding. That personal brand is what people are saying about you when you have left the room. So this is a perception of people that they have about you. Now, if we're looking at 2021, I would change the understanding of personal brand and say that personal brand is what people know about you before you actually enter the room. And because of that, our digital personal brand, our digital presence becomes so much more important because we can build this visibility and credibility already before there is initial contact with a person. So we don't have to enter the room in a classical way to get to know each other. And it is absolutely an ongoing process. So first you understand your personal brand DNA, also understand your customers and what are you offering and what channels you are using. And then you really have to put time and effort to manage and build it strategically. Because the question is whether you just let it happen on its own or you take some conscious strategic actions to manage it.
Makes perfect sense. And I think it's one of those things, like you said, you have it whether you know you do. So personal branding, you're right. Even if you haven't cultivated a brand, you do have a brand. It's just one that you haven't given any thought or control or guidance to. And that's where you come in, is to help guide people through that. So here on the show, we really like to focus not just on what entrepreneurs do, but also how they unwind, how they keep balance. I know you have a lot of clients and it could be a very busy lifestyle. What do you do to keep your work from taking over your life?
I have my daily morning routine. I call it a cup of self-love. It basically means that I start my morning an hour and a half earlier than my son and my husband wake up. And I just take a cold shower and I take coffee and I meditate and I read. So I really spend the first part of the day focusing on myself. And I have found that this 1 hour, it doesn't need to be in 1 hour, even 10, 15 minutes would do the job. But it really gets me centered and I can look inside and really connect to myself, to my purpose, and then kind of set a good tone for the day. And I also exercise on a regular basis. And I have certain things that are non-negotiable that I put into my calendar straight away. So this morning routine is one. 3 to 5 times a week exercise, and we'll try to have at least twice a month a date night with my husband.
And what's your favorite type of exercise? Is it like weights or swimming or fitness?
Yeah, I go to the gym. I've done one season of bikini fitness, but I'm doing this now just for fun.
Nice. Well, that sounds like a great way to unwind. And I love the morning routine focus because so many people who establish great morning routines and they wake up a little extra early to get things done, they really report that it's the best way to do it, because there's things that if you put off to later in the day, like meditation, self-care, it just doesn't get done. So they feel that if they've already had a win in that first hour of their day, I know a lot of people that do their workout in that morning time, or they do meditation or certain things, journaling maybe, that they've already gotten it done. So it's like they've won the day before the day even gets started, like you said, before the other people in the household wake up. So that's a great technique. And I think we can all look at our morning routines and see if there's any way to better optimize them and to improve what we do in the morning when we wake up. And then as far as software or techniques or hacks, are there any that you're loving right now?
Oh, there are so many of them. I'm trying to limit the consumption of social media, though I'm a social media strategist. So I love different types of apps that help to plan and schedule ahead. If we're talking about social media, then I love Contentino, which is a platform for for social media on every channel. And I can't imagine our days without Zoom, which is, I think came very handy during last spring. And one of my favorite apps is Script, which is she's basically like Spotify for books, and you have hundreds of thousands different books in different formats, audio books and just ebooks, and I really love it.
Oh, and what was that website called?
The one for the social media.
That one you said was Contentina, right?
Yeah. And the one for the book is Script. It is SCRIBD.
Everyone should definitely check that out, because reading is such an interesting thing, isn't it? When somebody writes a book, and you've written a book, The Brand Named You, a great book. And when people write a book, you really are putting communication into a medium that someone else can read on the beach or read at night or take with them places. And it's such a great way to have that mind-to-mind connection with someone you've never even met. There's people who have read your book who feel like they know you so well because they've been inside your brain and they've gotten your advice and mentored by you through these pages. And one of my I know everybody makes New Year's resolutions, but for this year, one of the things that I said to myself, I need to do more of this, is really truly reading, and not just reading nonfiction, which is very important to do to keep up with what the greats are doing and all the advice that's out there and available in such a convenient way, but also to read for enjoyment. Instead of watching TV, when you read a story, fiction story or something similar, it's actually exercising your imagination and your brain, because you have to come up with the way the characters look, the way their voices sound. You're doing that in your head. And I think using those imagination muscles is what really helps us in our businesses become more creative, because it's almost like working out. The more we use those muscles, the better and stronger they are. So thank you for bringing up Script, because that's a great way to increase the books we're reading, and also for your suggestion for a software that will help automate social media and post to different channels and to different profiles and accounts, because that really is a way to hit that first stage that you were talking about, which is to get in front of more eyeballs, right? To find a bigger audience to see your brand. So thank you for all of that. Is there any way for people to connect with you other than buying your book, which I recommend everybody goes and buys the book? You can go to the book's website, thebrandnamedyou.com. But other than that website, what would be a good way for people to connect with you if they want to follow you and to get some more of your great advice?
It is also possible to buy this book on Amazon in both Kindle version and print version. As for connecting with me, I'm the most active at the moment on LinkedIn. So I'm really open to connecting with people, and I'm talking a lot about personal branding from different angles. And you can also go to my website, olesijasaue.com, and all of my contact details are there. And I would be happy to hear from you if you have any questions regarding personal branding.
Olesija, it's been such an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. Hope to have you on again sometime. And in the meantime, keep doing what you're doing. It's important work. You're helping a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of listeners will connect with you.
Awesome. Thank you. And once again, the time has gone so quickly that we just started and then we're finishing already. It was absolutely my pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, and if you leave a review on iTunes, I promise I will read every single review. If you know someone who makes a full-time living from part-time work, and maybe this is you, please visit lifestylesolopreneur.com to nominate a guest or to nominate yourself. Because remember this, money doesn't buy happiness. But money in the hands of a happy person, there is no greater tool.
Today's episode was brought to you by the Get Shift Done program. It's a lifestyle-changing online class to help you define your business and lifestyle ambitions. and to set goals in a way you've never experienced before. This class will 10x your daily productivity with methods that will blow your mind. And if you use a coupon code podcast, the class tuition is 99% off. Visit GetShiftDone.com to enroll today.